Hello, and welcome back to Mr. Easy Peasy English. Today, we are traveling back to the 1900s to meet a man who dreamed of freedom and justice. His name was Martin Luther King, Jr. But this is not only a story about history or speeches. It is the story of a little boy who loved books, a young preacher who believed in peace, and a leader who carried the hopes of millions of people. So sit back, relax, and let's walk through his life together. The year was 1929. The world was changing. In Atlanta, Georgia, a baby boy was born. His name was Michael King, Jr. Later, his father changed his name to Martin Luther King, Jr., after the great church reformer from Germany. Martin's family was loving but strict. His father was a preacher at a large church. His mother was a teacher. Faith and education were the heart of their home. But outside their house, life was not always kind. In the 1930s, America was divided by segregation. This meant black and white people were forced to live apart. Different schools, different buses, different restaurants, even different water fountains. One day, when Martin was just 6 years old, his white friend told him they could not play together anymore. Why? Because Martin was black. That moment hurt deeply, but it also planted a seed inside him, a seed of questions. Why should the world be unfair? Why should skin color decide who is equal? Martin was smart and curious. He loved to read. He loved to ask questions. He skipped 2 grades in school and entered college when he was only 15 years old. At Morehouse College in Atlanta, Martin studied hard. His teachers told him, "You are talented. Use your voice to make the world better." So Martin decided to follow his father and become a preacher. But he was not just a preacher of the Bible. He wanted to preach justice, peace, and equality. Later, Martin studied theology in the North, in Boston. There, he met a young woman named Coretta Scott. Coretta was a singer, an artist, and a strong believer in justice. They fell in love, got married, and built a life together. In 1955, something happened in Montgomery, Alabama. A woman named Rosa Parks refused to give up her bus seat to a white passenger. She was arrested. The black community was angry. They said, "This is unfair. We must stand together." They needed a leader. They chose Martin Luther King, Jr. Martin was only 26 years old, but he spoke with passion and calm strength. He said, "We will not fight with violence. We will fight with peace." And so began the Montgomery bus boycott. For more than a year, black citizens refused to ride the buses. They walked to work. They carpooled with neighbors. It was hard, but they stood together. Finally, the Supreme Court ruled that bus segregation was illegal. It was a great victory. Martin had become the voice of a movement. The 1960s were a time of protest, marches, and hope. Martin traveled across the country, giving speeches, meeting crowds, and leading marches. People listened to him because his words were clear and his heart was steady. He often said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." Martin believed in the power of nonviolence. He studied the ideas of Mahatma Gandhi from India. Just like Gandhi, Martin showed that peaceful protest could be stronger than violence. The summer of 1963 was hot and restless. More than 200,000 people gathered in Washington, D.C. They came by bus, by train, by foot. They came to demand jobs and freedom. Martin stood in front of the Lincoln Memorial. The crowd was silent, waiting. Then Martin began to speak. He said, "I have a dream." He dreamed of children of all colors playing together. He dreamed of freedom ringing across the nation. He dreamed of justice rolling down like water. The speech became one of the most famous in history. It touched hearts not only in America, but all around the world. But Martin's journey was not easy. Not everyone agreed with him. Some people hated him. He was arrested many times. His house was bombed. He faced death threats almost every day. Still, Martin did not stop. He reminded his followers, "If we meet hate with hate, we will destroy ourselves. We must meet hate with love." In 1964, Martin Luther King Jr. won the Nobel Peace Prize. He was only 35 years old, the youngest winner at that time. By 1968, Martin was tired, but still strong in spirit. He traveled to Memphis, Tennessee, to help black workers who were fighting for fair pay. On April 4th, 1968, Martin stood on the balcony of his hotel. A shot rang out. Martin Luther King Jr. was killed. He was only 39 years old. The world cried. Millions mourned. But his dream did not die. Today, Martin Luther King Jr. is remembered as a man of peace, courage, and hope. Schools, streets, and monuments carry his name. Every January, America celebrates Martin Luther King Jr. Day to honor his life. Martin's story teaches us that true strength is not in weapons or anger. It is in kindness. It is in patience. It is in the belief that all people are created equal. And that is the story of Martin Luther King Jr., a boy from Atlanta who became a preacher, a leader, a dreamer, and a voice for justice. His life reminds us that one person's dream can inspire the world, and that love is always stronger than hate. Now, let us see what you learned. I will ask you 6 questions about the story. See how many you can answer correctly. Pause the video if you need more time. Where was Martin Luther King Jr. born? He was born in Atlanta, Georgia. What did his parents do for work? His father was a preacher and his mother was a teacher. How old was Martin when he entered college? He was 15 years old. Who did Martin marry? Coretta Scott. Where did Martin give the I Have a Dream speech? At the Lincoln Memorial. When did Martin die? April 4th, 1968. Great job! Thank you for joining me in this journey. I hope you enjoyed learning English through this story. If you liked this lesson, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you won't miss the next story. See you next time, here on Mr. Easy Peasy English.